For the first deck profile exploration of EX10, it's going to be the one deck that everyone's been talking about, Malomyotismon Loop. This is one of the decks that if you set it up, you clear all of your opponent's security in one turn and simply end the game. But how does one realistically accomplish this? Per the usual, these deck profile videos will go over the main cards to use for the deck, as well as the newer cards in the most recent set that supplement this, followed by combos, and then a general deck profile for you to start with. By the end, you'll have a deeper understanding of what's to come, as well as how you can prepare to face off against this deck. Starting with the first card for discussion, our first introduction of dual Digimon actually came in the form of Tamers. Arukenimon and Mummymon is a 4-cost purple Tamer that has a your turn effect that when Arukenimon or Mummymon will be played from your hand, by deleting this Tamer, you reduce the play cost by 3. Also when this Tamer is deleted, either yours or your opponent's turn, you may play one level 5 or lower Digimon card with myotismon in its text from your trash without paying the cost. At the end of the next opponent's turn, delete that Digimon. So while you can delete this to reduce the play cost of your Arukenimon or Mummymon by 3, this means that typically it'll cost you 3 memory, right? Well, if you happen to have 2 of these out, you can stack the effect of both to play out Arukenimon or Mummymon for a cost of 0. But interestingly, this is just one part of the combo, because when the Tamer is deleted, you get to play out one level 5 or lower Digimon with myotismon in its text. In addition to playing one body, if you pop 2 of these Tamers to do that, you get 2 bodies you could play out. Could be another Arukenimon or Mummymon, or even better yet, the newest myotismon. Briefly, before we discuss this myotismon, the Arukenimon and Mummymon cards from BT16 allow you to conduct a wide variety of features. For instance, with the Arukenimon on play, you reveal the top 5 cards and then trash 2 purple cards among them. Could be Tamers or Digimon. By placing additional Arukenimon and Mummymon, this adds more to the cycling, or you could even be trashing cards like Malomyotismon to use their effects later. Mummymon in essence can do the same thing because on play you draw 2 and then trash 2 cards. But when you change gears to the newest variants introduced in EX10, you have some viable ways to remove floodgates and also de-digivolve pesky bodies that could be potentially immune from deletion. The inclusion of myotismon though isn't for its on-play or on-deletion effect that gives blocker and retaliation, but it's inheritable. Because of its inheritable, that allows you to play a purple Tamer card from your trash, suspended, without paying the cost. This means if you digivolve this Digimon into say, Myotismon X, you get so much value from this one stack that you're going to start printing memory shortly. By combining Myotismon with Myotismon X, when the stack is deleted, Myotismon X's effect allows you to play one level 6 Digimon with Myotismon in its name from your trash without paying the cost. And simultaneously, because of that inheritable, that means that when the stack is deleted, you'll be able to play back out Mummymon and Arukenimon suspended without paying the cost. Because there aren't any conditions for this Tamer to suspend to use it, you can delete the Tamer in order to play another Arukenimon or Mummymon for a memory cost of 3. So generally, what does the combo look like? You need a memory fixer, a memory boost, and an Arukenimon and Mummymon to start this whole process. While that may seem easy, it's honestly kind of a pain to set up all the pieces, assuming your opponent hasn't killed you in that time period. A huge shout out to Digimon Judge Lepony for assisting me with today's video. There are many variations to the combo, it just depends on how you want to go about it. You might have 2 Arukenimon and Mummymons instead with a memory fixer instead of that memory boost. In addition to this combo, you need the following cards in your trash for this to work: 2 BT3 Malomyotismon, 2 EX10 Malomyotismon, 1 Arukenimon Mummymon Tamer, and 1 EX10 Myotismon. Again, you'll need some variation of this for the combo to fully work. Utilizing the Arukenimon Mummymon Tamer, you can play out Arukenimon or Mummymon for a cost of 3, since Yukio Oikawa puts you to 3. Afterwards, this puts the memory to 0. You then trigger that Digimon's on-play effect to further fuel your trash. Because the Arukenimon and Mummymon Tamer was deleted, you now get to play one Digimon with myotismon in its text that is level 5 or lower without paying the cost. In other words, that EX10 Myotismon. Now with Yukio, you pop this Tamer because the Digimon with myotismon in its name was played, but not for its rush effect, but for that memory gain. You'll then want to use that memory delay in order to get back up to 3 memory. Now digivolve EX10 Myotismon in order to trigger its effect to delete an opponent's level 4 or lower Digimon. But the key here is that you digivolved with myotismon in the sources, which means when this Digimon is deleted, you'll get extra benefits. Now with the trash effect of Malomyotismon, you're going to delete both the Arukenimon and the Myotismon X in order to play it for a cost of 3. Keep in mind, all 3 of these Digimon will trigger effects at the same time, in which case, you'll use Malomyotismon's on-play effect first to delete 2 other unsuspended Digimon. Since you have nothing else, you're good. Then you'll trigger Arukenimon's effect in order to play out an Arukenimon and Mummymon tamer without paying cost, while the inheritable Myotismon will play out a second copy for free, but suspended. Lastly, BT3 Malomyotismon appears as the last effect from Myotismon X's effect in order to start gaining memory. Now that you've established 2 Arukenimon and Mummymon tamers, you can now play another Arukenimon or Mummymon for a cost of 0 by deleting both tamers, which then triggers the on-deletion effect of the tamers themselves by playing back out another Myotismon, an Arukenimon, or Mummymon. Keep in mind, because your tamers were deleted, EX10 Malomyotismon will now trash their top security card and bounce their lowest DP Digimon to the bottom of the deck. Digivolve again into Myotismon X in order to get that on-deletion trigger. Now you use the second Malomyotismon in the trash to play itself back out by deleting Myotismon X and Arukenimon for a cost of 3 memory. Although your opponent does now have 3 memory, a series of events still need to be resolved. Again, all 3 effects will trigger simultaneously. However, this time you'll trigger the deleted Myotismon X's effect first, because you can play a second copy of BT3 Malomyotismon, then you'll utilize the Arukenimon or Mummymon to play the tamer equivalent, with Myotismon playing the same tamer again. Finally, EX10 Malomyotismon comes out and deletes the first Malomyotismon, an Arukenimon or the Mummymon for the on-play effect, which then gains you 2 memory for each Digimon deleted, since each BT3 Malomyotismon gains 1 memory when a Digimon is deleted. Arukenimon or Mummymon can now play back out a Yukio Oikawa, because this will be the final nail in the coffin once you've looped through this a few times, because then your other Digimon will have Rush. Now with 3 tamers, 2 BT3 Malomyotismons, and 1 EX10 Malomyotismon, you start the whole process again by deleting your Arukenimon and Mummymons to play out another one for free, while simultaneously playing out the others from the trash. There are a few considerations though, in that the Myotismon X is crucial to set up the Malomyotismons for memory gain, but once 2 have been established, you're largely clear the rest of the game. Unless of course you wanted to start cycling 2 EX10 Malomyotismons to accelerate the trashing of security faster. Largely with the deck profile, you're focused on 2 things: finding your pieces quickly and setting them up on board. Because you need cards in the trash, it is important for you to have ways to toss them from hand as well. For eggs, you could keep it as simple as BT15 Demimeramons, since you run predominantly level 5 and higher Digimon, or you could even use Cupimon to supplement your memory. The old Demimeramon is also viable since it's a draw first then trash, but it ultimately depends on how much high rolling you want to do. For the level 3s, the common element was to use Demi-Devimons to find your cards with Myotismon in their text, and simultaneously fill up the trash. The secondary option here could be Tapirmon for more card draw, or Ukomon to float for Digimon or Tamers on the promote out. Sayakomon is another option if boards get huge, but realistically, Malomyotismon handles large boards. No level 4s in this build, as everything is predominantly a level 5 or higher. For the level 5s, this is more so tailored to how you want to adjust the ratios. The variants from BT16 are extremely helpful for consistency, while the newer ones assist with premature floodgate removal and control. You'll definitely want the 4 copies of EX10 Myotismon and the Myotismon X's, though in some preliminary testing, you could drop the Myotismon X down to 3 if space is getting tight for you and you want to lean on some tamers. As for the level 6s, you're on all Malomyotismons. BT3 helps with the memory considering it's all turns, and it doesn't matter whose Digimon is deleted. And because of Myotismon X, this can be played for free. The other variant being the newest one, which has a multitude of effects. First, it can be played from the trash for a reduced cost of 11, and when it's played, digivolved into or attacking, you delete 2 other unsuspended Digimon. This is mandatory, meaning if your opponent has nothing, and you do, kiss your board goodbye. On the bright side, when you do this, if your other Digimon or Tamers are deleted, you trash the top security card and return one of their Digimon with the lowest DP to the bottom of the deck. But because this is a purple deck, you'll of course want to run option cards like Purple Memory Boost and Mist Memory Boost for consistency, with that one calling from the darkness to get back potential pieces you may need. And for Tamers, it's a mandatory 4 copies of Arukenimon and Mummymon and the Yukio Oikawas from EX10. But for some players, they might supplement their decks with Analog Youth, since this does filter cards from the trash. However, the only time this tamer will proc is going to be with Myotismon and Myotismon X. Largely after playtesting this deck, while the looping capabilities are insane for a purple deck, the setup does take a bit of time. In one test game it took 4 turns, and in another, it took 6. Logically, Bandai may take this deck as it is now and choose to restrict something in it for Japan's best of 1 format. Because when this deck goes off, it freaking goes off. However, in the West, if you observe this combo once, and your opponent is able to pull off the combo again in games 2 or 3, honestly, they've battled the odds not just once, but twice. Do you think BT3 Malomyotismon should get a preemptive restriction to 1, or even worse, a ban? Or do you think the gimmicky nature of Malo Loop and the effort to get there is on par with Waru Seedramon and Dimension Scissor? Let me know your thoughts, because this week I plan on exploring some EX10 content before giving some of my final opinions of Bandai Card Games Fest Dallas. This is DIGI-PANDA, logging out.